Here he is, Ben Leber at Nacho Leber, sideline analyst for the vast and ever-expanding Minnesota Vikings KFAN Audio Network. Don't forget to watch him on Twin Cities Live, 3 to 4:30, Channel 5 each and every weekday. And Mr. Benjamin joins us in studio now. Are you guys sampling all the new eats at Target Field this summer? I mean, that seems like an absolute winner for the old TCL concourse.
No, we are going to do a split show out there. Actually, we might do a full show out there. Not to get technical in the jargon, but we are going to be out there at Target Field soon. I don't have the exact date off the top of my head, but we're going to be out there soon doing a show. So, yeah, I'm sure we're going to have some sort of new eats out there.
Who do you like today?
It's time to drop the puck.
I mean, you got Michigan State and UConn at 12:30 in the Massachusetts regional. Then Dartmouth, Wisconsin, North Dakota and Merrimack, and Providence and Quinnipiac. You know, the Frozen Four. We got the Frozen Four beginning today. We're to the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. The Minnesota Timberwolves are making history with an overtime victory, and the NFL draft is 1 month from today. Woo. This whole thing's good enough to eat.
I'm going to pull for Quinnipiac just because it's really fun to say. You know, I'll go for the small market team.
Yeah.
I don't even know what their mascot is. The Quinnipiac.
Probably Big Fat Q.
Sure.
Jumping
I don't know.
around.
Q-tips.
But this is a wonderful, wonderful sports time of the year. Wild play the back-to-back champs tonight, too. That's on KFAN. Wild and Florida Panthers with Joe O'Donnell on lead vocals.
Boomer the Bobcat.
Boomer the Bobcat for Quinnipiac.
Bobcats.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
NFL. DeAndre Hopkins kind of begged via TMZ to play for the Minnesota Vikings, and it's like, Kyler's my dog. He didn't say this, but he could have. Like, I know Christian Kirk is Kyler's best friend, and they played together in college in the pros, and he went to the Niners, and Kyler might be a little sad, but Kyler and I are dogs too, so why don't you guys bring me up to Minnesota? DeAndre Hopkins on any form of a fair deal. What do you think?
I mean, it'd be quite the lineup. On a fair deal, why not? Right? I mean, we lost Naylor. Good for him. Great deal for him. We're kind of searching for that number 3 guy. If D-Hop wants to take over that role and he wants to truly own that role and not try to be, not stepping on J.A.'s toes and certainly not J.J.'s.
Yeah.
And he just kind of slides in there and he's just an available third option at times, I say, why not?
And DeAndre Hopkins has some football immortality to him. Never has been the fastest receiver in the history of the NFL. And I would imagine if at this stage of his career, there is some skeletal remains of DeAndre Hopkins, if you know what I mean. Like, say the Vikings find a way to trade up to get Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. I mean, he's fast. So is Justin. So is Jordan Addison. Then you got old D-Hop.
I always love that one.
Hey,
D-Hop in the mix.
possession guy. I wouldn't say it's my first pick. I truly think that for this offense and for what we're looking for, I would love to see, and I'm not saying it's needed, but I'd like to see an Edelman type of guy. I want to see
kind of like Wes Welker.
I want to see a Wes Welker.
Jason Sehorn when he played wide receiver before
let's find
Mike
another
Furry.
Yeah,
But not Eddie Royal.
No, certainly not.
Odell Beckham doesn't fit.
No.
Despite playing for Kevin O'Connell. Your Vikings quarterback analysis at KFAN.com and social media and KFAN's YouTube. For those who may have missed it, it seems to be like a connecting the dots type situation. So, like, Nacho tweets something, can't remember what you tweeted. In the age of rage, not surprisingly, it probably caught a little fire.
Sure.
So then Nacho takes a break from his vacation.
Yeah.
And does a video to appease the age of rage or clarify things in said age. Well, then Nacho, I think, gets back and then does a KFAN video to further clarify. What in the heck is this all about?
Well, the KFAN video was really just a clip of the Power Trip guys asking me the same thing when I got back. So that was not an intentional clip. But but the one I made in the Bahamas was for sure an intentional clip.
What happened?
Were you on the beach when you filmed that?
No, I was sitting in a golf cart.
Oh. Yeah.
Sitting in our mode of transportation. Just
the beach was behind you.
The
beach was behind you.
It was a ways
you were
away.
Near the beach.
Yeah, I was near the beach. It was like 100 yards.
It was a low-key Creasel flex that he takes 15 trips a year, and they're always dope, as the
At
kids
least
would
he
say.
gets paid for them. I don't get paid for the trips I go on.
He got paid to go to Disneyland?
No, well, usually the trip when he's out and about, he's like doing a speaking engagement, like San Diego or something, or like Palm Springs, and it's like it looks like he's on vacation, which I'm sure he's taking advantage of it. But I also think that he's getting paid for speaking. Anyway, good for him. So no, this was all the news that came out about Carson Wentz being re-signed, and I basically said something along the lines of, as of right now, and I truly mean like as of today, as I'm writing this, that I think the depth chart should be Carson into Kyler into McCarthy.
Oh, geez.
And that obviously stirred the hornet's nest, and people got all pissy and basically said, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I know that X is a terrible place to add context and have, actual discussion. So that's why I'm like, so that's why I was like, all right, let me just prop up my phone and just like expand on my thoughts here.
Oh.
And I first want to clarify the fact that I do think that Kyler's going to end up winning this quarterback competition, right?
And just to add to said context, now, like I saw via a Ben Gessling tweet earlier this week, Wentz's deal is not of the prove it variety. I mean, it could be, but it's like 1 and 3 and change that could get up to like 6 and change. So I mean, that's more than just we'll give you 1 and 1 and come on in here and see what you can do.
Yeah, so that's also I like that detail to this thing. But when I was making this video, it really was more about where are we right now as a team and as a quarterback position. I thought based on the 3 weeks that Carson had to get ready before he was injected into this offense because of injury, I thought that over his playing time, he played really well. You could see what could this guy look like with a better offensive line, which we're going to have this year. We all cross our fingers. Everybody's healthy, and we're going to be a better offensive line, and Jackson's going to be even better as a left guard. If he gets protection, he can really open up this offense and run this offense in a way that I think that KOC wants to run this offense, right? Certainly not taking away middle of the field throws that they admitted to basically doing with McCarthy. So
that's public?
Well, that's what all the reports are saying.
Yeah, it must be public then.
I mean, there must be something to it, right?
It just has to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing anybody would hear in a background chatter on a sideline or at the combine or anything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, but 3-2.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going with this idea. We're basically going with the idea that McCarthy could not grasp the totality of the offense.
Same.
All right. So, Kyler Murray's just got here, and all we've heard about Kyler Murray is he's not an under center quarterback. He was the last couple of years of Drew Petzing. 2 years ago, his numbers look good. But he still wasn't even close to the amount of under center plays that KOC has. So he's got a lot to learn if we're going to all be under the same system with KOC and they're all going to run the same plays and it's going to be a real quarterback competition. If it's a real quarterback competition right now, as of today, I think Carson Wentz can run this offense better than anybody else. Do I think Kyler has the X factor with his athleticism, his creative ability? Absolutely. That's why I think that he's going to be the opening day starter whenever the season starts. But I think if the Vikings really truly want to have an open competition and not just anoint the next quarterback, because we know that did not go very well last year, then I think Carson has a real chance. Well, shoot, all of them have a real chance to compete and figure out who's the best guy out there. I'm not anointing Kyler Murray as the starting quarterback right now. I'm not in that camp. If other people want to be in that camp and say, nope, just because he's the new shiny toy and this is what he did at Arizona, I'm like, yeah, that's what he did at Arizona under Cliff Kingsbury. But he wasn't good enough to get his job back from Jacoby Brissett.
Right.
And I know that there was some injury mixed involved there. But they were willing to let him go. If he was so great in this offense, then why didn't they keep him around?
That is an underlying part of this. That's like the dirty secret or the elephant in the room. When somebody gives you $35 million to leave, well, there's more that goes into that than we like Jacoby or we got our eyes on a second round quarterback nobody's talking about. There's just more to it. But now, on the other side of it with Murray, and I have no idea what the answer to this is, but to get Kyler Murray to come here on the 1 and 1 and change, and waive the potential for the franchise tag. So I think anybody would have done that. Is it required to have a sneaky chat with Kyler Murray, like, hey, maybe here, maybe there, maybe over there? come here, you're going to start.
Yeah.
Okay. And don't tell your agent because agents talk. That's the bit. And don't tell anybody. Does that happen?
I think it happens. And it could have happened here. But the way I wish it went down and hoped it went down was that dialogue hadn't been said. Mm-hmm. That you truly tell him.
Yeah, you didn't hear that on the sideline. It wasn't part of a background chat or some passing conversation at the combine.
If you're asking me what's the best, healthiest environment for this franchise and for that position, is to tell all three of these guys, may the best man win. We're going to have a true open competition. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you as much of the fair reps as possible with the number one offense against the number one offensive line and see who actually wins. Because all they've been talking about is bringing competition in for J.J. McCarthy because that elevates everybody's play. So that needs to happen. It happens at every position.
Yep.
I don't know why we have to face. It's like we
preach.
We know that quarterbacks are the most important position in the league. But yet we handle that position with kid gloves mentally because we're like, well, we can't. Well, I mean, we can't like bring in competition because how's he gonna feel?
Yeah.
Well, are you kidding me? They bring in competition for every position across the board.
Caleb Williams with the Bears had no competition, but when beloved BJ, would talk about the lack of experience or lack of wherewithal under center, I mean, there were no kid gloves. It was like, this is important. He's never done it. When he did do it, it wasn't great. And if it's not great, we ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So he came straight out at it.
It's so fascinating that we will hammer these guys all, privately, publicly. You mentioned Ben Johnson about basically calling his own franchise quarterback out. That's rare. That's so rare because a lot of people handle a quarterback with like, well, we can't piss this guy off. We can't put him in the tank. We got to make sure his mentals are okay. Well, you don't care about the mentals of the defensive tackle. Yeah. You don't care about the mentals of the safety or the wide receiver. Hey. But now all of a sudden you have to care so much about the quarterback position? Mm-hmm. Like, no. Like, if the guy's mentally tough enough to handle the spot, then he deserves to be out there. I mean, but if he crumbles under the pressure, then we don't want him out there.
Right. But the way you're explaining that, and I agree with you, but what is age old is quarterbacks have been treated like that for X amount of years, like pitchers and like goalies. It's just kind of the same bit. Doesn't mean it's right, but nevertheless, that's what it is.
I don't think we're in a position to do that.
Right.
I think if we had
Josh Dobbs, I mean, it's completely different.
I know there's
Dobbs.
I know there's exceptions to every rule, so it's not just a blanket statement. Right?
I'm messing with you because you're my dog and I haven't seen you in forever.
But I think the situation that we're in, the situation that we found ourselves in with the way that JJ played last year and Carson coming in and playing well and then hurting his shoulder and all this other stuff, because that position's not solidified, what's the harm in bringing more competition in? Mm-hmm. And what's the harm in saying this is an open competition and nobody's being anointed in the middle of March that you're going to be the starting quarterback?
And depth charts by the team don't come out till training camp, so you don't have to make a declaration until August.
I honestly think that you make it as cutthroat and as Game of Thrones as possible in that room.
Yeah,
and just see McCarthy, who comes out of it.
And then McCarthy shows at the John Beck camp, that thing in California, wow, there were 6 things about him that bugged us, and even though we had nothing to do with it, 4 are fixed. Well, then they have to recognize that and also recognize pride goes before the fall. So if somebody else played into somebody getting better, then he's yours. Just embrace it, Yeah.
So I'll ask you both. And I know that we're kind of circling this whole thing, but I'll just kind of turn it on you guys. Mm-hmm. How would you feel from a competitive standpoint if they announced today that Kyler Murray is your starting quarterback? Do you think that's healthy?
I wouldn't like it.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it.
Wow.
But I also, from
on the other side
from a depth chart standpoint, when they make Kyler Murray one, if they make Kyler Murray one,
when?
I mean, if Carson Wentz wins the job, can you imagine the tattering and or the abuse that's going to take place with the PlayStation controllers R2?
I always love that one.
With Kyler Murray and how much he's just going to mash on that thing if he's not the starter. Holy cow, man, that thing's going to be in tatters.
Well, the question you asked, so we're balanced. I feel like there's semantics. There's a bit of arbitrary there's an aspect to it because I feel like it is not a real competition in the respect that J.J. McCarthy, the only way that he can win this job effectively and gaining our trust and finding his way to the top of the totem pole here is he has to ace every single aspect of football on that practice field, in the meeting rooms, in shorts, in non-competitive environments. And I think that sets him back. So you're telling Kyler Murray he's got a real shot to start. You're telling Carson Wentz, especially when you're signing him this early, like Carson could chill until the summer and find his way onto a team, maybe if he's looking for real chances to play. And JJ is kind of the odd man out here. So how is this a real competition in regard to the idea that I need JJ to be perfect in the offseason, but I'm not going to get a real competitive look at him to show those growth aspects of this offseason before the season starts? It has to truly be faith-based that the work you're seeing on the practice field is somehow going to translate and be better in competitive games. I just don't think JJ's going to have that real chance this offseason.
But see, the word competition needs to be defined because
it's subjective,
at the
right?
end of the equation, if McCarthy is like, well, you said it would be a competition. They could be like, yeah, between you and Max for the practice squad.
I always love that one.
So we did say competition. Nobody was lying.
Yeah,
that's
so
an easy
true.
way out.
That's so true. And listen, I'm obviously not knowledgeable enough to know how you can cut this up equally in OTAs and minicamp to even have a penciled in depth chart for training camp in that you have 3 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. You want them to all have equal reps with the number one offense, and I'm including everybody on the number one offense against what you think is the number one defense. And not, it's not very often you go against the number one defense. It's usually the twos, and it's ones versus twos a lot of time. So it is very difficult to have a true apples to apples to apples comparison. So I understand that. Mm-hmm. And I know that there probably is a little bit of bias in like who they probably want out there for more reps to get people up to speed. I think they're really going to know when they get into the meeting rooms and they get out on the practice field about the knowledge and the processing speed of the offense. And I think that is the mental part of this is going to be huge. I think the physical
Carson has that covered.
Well, he definitely has that covered.
So first full off season here off what he went through last year.
Correct.
And the plays change, but I mean, concepts don't change that much.
So that kind of goes back to my initial statement earlier was that as of today, he's probably your best quarterback in that room. Now, maybe not the most productive and maybe not the most dynamic and maybe not the most creative. But if you're looking for a true quarterback to run this offense, he's the guy on top.
If you believe speed kills, and it's a speed game, this National Football League, right? Mm-hmm. If somehow the Minnesota Vikings had the speed and the versatility that is Kyler Murray with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and they trade up and find their way to Jeremiah Love, or they get a running back who has lickety-split speed and cuts reps with Mason and or Jones, well, that factors into it too. I mean, Carson and the scholarly, the scholar of the game approach has to be respected and appreciated, and he should come into this offseason favored to win the job because he knows where the bones are buried, doesn't hold the ball. Granted, doesn't move that much, but when he does move, that actually was a little bit of a problem where it was like, hey, this movement by this big man's cool and everything, but do we really have to take on every linebacker and safety that we encounter? So let's fix that. So maybe they can fix that. I mean, you know better than anybody with Kyler. When you design this thing, if you catch them in man, which doesn't happen a lot against the Vikings, they don't face a lot of man-to-man defense. But if you do, and he's 75% good or better at recognizing man and zone, and he sees the backs turned, well, he's going to run from one side of the building to the other. And that speed, I mean, the giftedness with his running, we all, you probably knew this, man, but like we all know Kyler Murray runs. We know he can run. I'm wondering if he has a swivel. Like what's the state of the swivel? Are we 1.5 reads and then we take off? That's all going to reveal itself eventually. But if you get a speedy running back, a kid running back, and there's a lot of speed with these running backs, Jeremiah Love would be the centerpiece. Vikings pick 18. This kid may go 8. Who knows? But you can trade up to get him.
He'll be top 10, yeah.
Okay, if you want him badly enough, you can get him because it's not that far away. So if you have somebody like that with Jefferson and Addison and Murray, there's some hide the women and children to that for a defensive coordinator. Know what I mean? So that factors into it too.
Well, that's why I kind of couched everything with the idea that he's most likely going to win out just because of his X factor. If you put all three of those guys on the field and you ask them to run the same play against, let's just say, man-to-man defense, Carson's going to try to find the one little edge, a back shoulder throw, that little bit of separation. He's going to look to get the ball 50 yards down the field in a one-on-one situation. And you probably hope that McCarthy can recognize the same thing, but he didn't do a great job of doing it last year. So, that's still a little bit of an unknown. With Kyler, it's like, well, he could probably make that same read in the first couple of reads, in the first, boom, boom. If it's not there, then he knows that he can use his legs. Yeah. And that could be a 50-yard play as well.
Yeah.
So
the return of the big offensive plays has arrived.
Yeah. I'm not, naive enough to know that, to think that at the end of the day, that Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy is going to win out and be the starting quarterback.
Yep.
I'm just saying,
I get it.
As of today, this is probably how it looks. And then Kyler's really got to go out and prove that he can run this offense. And there's got to be a little bit of a negotiation, too, with the way KOC calls things, because how much under center do you want to put him? How much more shotgun are we going to see? How much more flexibility is KOC going to give him with the offense? I mean, there is going to have to be a compromise between play style and play caller.
If of what I said 8.5 minutes ago, if perchance you, in sneaky fashion, made a promise to Kyler Murray, because they were competing with teams to get Kyler Murray. It may not be loud and public and everything, but they were not the only team that was like, hey, come in here and do this.
But if it's the Jets, everybody knows he wasn't going to go to New York.
Right, but what if it was the Rams and it was
a backup role?
I understand, but Matt misses games and to have that, so I see what you're saying. But if you made that sneaky promise to him that sign here and you will start, you made a mistake. You made a mistake if you did that with Kyler Murray. And really, if you do it with anybody. But I really, really hope that didn't happen. I hope everything you're saying is absolutely veracity filled and accurate, and truly it will be a competition, maybe between 1 and 2. The veterans with the 3 having a puncher's chance, the kid. But no, I wouldn't. I really hope that some form of promise was not made to Kyler. That's Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via X. It's 9-0. Is this the age of the tight end? And the reason I bring it up like that, and you're an elite football mind, and you probably put me on this take, and I gravy trained it and amplified it. But with when we were in Arizona a couple of years ago to play the Rams, and they have super special Tyler Higbee. And they got this cat named Allen. They had 2 tight ends who basically didn't play that much and played a ton against the Vikings and in playoff games. Then again the next year. Then we look at let's take Seattle. Let's take the champions, as an example, and what they did with Barner and another guy who this other guy. Well, the Bears are the perfect example. Beloved BJ drafts Loveland. And he's right. And Loveland's a star. He's a perennial All-Pro in the making. Cole Kmet does everything well and nothing great. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to pilfer something called Durham Smythe from the Miami Dolphins and play him 4 plays a game. But those 4 plays we play, he's going to catch one for a first down, and he's going to block A, B, and C for DeAndre, and we're going to get more first downs. And then he's going to go to the bench for the next half of the quarter. So the specialization of the tight ends is en vogue in the National Football League. So now, day 1 at the combine, segment 1 at the combine, me and Bursich, we call the sideline analyst, and we're chatting about Kenyon Sadiq. So now, from what infatuated you with Oregon Sadiq, then to adding more to it, I mean, he's the belle of the ball right now. My guy John Harris from footballtakeover.com, he's been a scout and worked on college staffs. He's just so plugged into college football. He's the Nacho Leber for the Texans radio network, but he has a side bit, footballtakeover.com. And he compared Kenyon Sadiq to Trey McBride. And in that interview that I had with him 45 minutes ago, I mean, he started laughing with how deep this tight ends draft is for those who catch and run. And yeah, their blocking's good. Well, Sadiq does it all. But the others, and this guy catches and runs, and his blocking's good, but can get better. Well, this guy right here is like Juszczyk, who can line up at tight end and do this. They're all over the place. It's the age of the specialization with the tight ends really matters in the National Football League these days. Wouldn't you agree?
It certainly does, because unfortunately, the guys like C.J. Ham have been phased out. We were surprised that when KOC got this job that he kept C.J. Ham just based on the amount of fullback usage that the Rams had.
Interesting you say that. You were on vacation. You were on spring break. Thielen and Ham had their retirements.
Yep.
They was spectacular. I mean, they dressed up the Vikings Entertainment Network studio as good as I've ever seen it. It was a beautifully touching day. But C.J. Ham said, my first year with Kevin, I didn't play that much, but I stayed in my lane and I did what they wanted me to do as well as I could. And then it grew from there, to amplify what you said.
Yeah. And so I think that we've certainly seen the whole NFL kind of change over and to get a little bit more spread out, more wideouts, a little bit more 7-on-7. I think that's starting to pare back a little bit. I think they're starting to see, again, because of these hybrid tight ends, that there's more of them. You can play with personnel groupings a lot more. I wouldn't be surprised if we never replace a guy like C.J. Ham with another C.J. Ham.
Yeah.
I think that this offense probably could use another pass catching tight end. 12 personnel could probably be the flavor of the month, and it's the personnel grouping that I think gives the defense most fits, because it's harder to line up against, because you can line up the other tight end in so many different spots.
But your 12 here with Hawkinson and Oliver is already good.
Well, I think that's the point I'm trying to make. Imagine if you added a Kenyon Sadiq, who when we were talking at the combine, the reason I brought him up was because, I heard about him and watched him a little bit during the college football season. I knew he was going to test well at the combine because of all the rumors about how freakishly he is. And then you start to see all these mock drafts where they see at around 18, a guy like Sadiq is still available. Now that was pre-combine. Now he blew up the combine, and so I think he might be picked a little bit earlier than that, but we all know the draft can get a little wonky. So it was just a name to put on the radar. That wouldn't it be really fun? And I know that you are, we were talking about other wide receivers. You're big on Juwan Jennings, and that could still happen. But what if it was JJ, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, Sadiq?
Oh, wow.
And you're like,
is Sadiq 4.3? Or is he like,
dude, he was sub 4.4, if not 4.3. He was flying.
He might have been 4.34.
And from what I've heard and watched a little bit on the blocking, they're like,
a tight end at 4.3. Are you kidding me?
The thing that sets him apart, I think, from some of the other tight ends, and what your guy was saying, it's a deep tight end draft, where he is separated from everybody else, it's his attitude. The dude plays with a mean spirit. He plays pissed off, and he's not afraid to block. So you get a guy like that carries a lot of bravado, and he's got that sort of dog in him. And you put him in the same athletic body, and then you put him on the field with Hawkinson, and you line those guys up and then you get I don't know, maybe a second, third round running back if you can find one of these speedy guys along with Jordan Mason.
Yeah,
dude, you got an offense right there that is going to be so dynamic and so complex. And you want to talk about layering things down the field? My God, it's going to be hard to defend these guys.
Kenyon Sadiq, fullback, tight end, H-back from Oregon. And one of the rare players to come into the NFL or NBA these days who didn't okay, well, let's look at this. Oh, okay, 1 year at James Madison, 2 years at SMU, 1 year at Notre Dame, and 1 year at Clemson. Now, he was Oregon all the time. He 10-inch hands, very good. His 40 was 4.39.
Yeah.
His tight end ran a 4.39 40. But draft savant John Harris from footballtakeover.com, here's what he wrote about him. He blocks his guts out at the point of attack. He doesn't always display great hands, but when he reels the ball in, he might be the fastest tight end in football on any level. 4.39 at the combine probably precipitated even more discussion in draft rooms especially for teams that need an offensive boost out of that position. Outstanding build, strength, and speed, the full package for teams that are looking to get more out of the interior passing game. And the player comparison is Trey McBride. That's
It was what, All-Pro? He's at least Pro Bowler.
Yeah. Then the next one was his number 2 there is Denton Geyer. Let's see. Is it Denton? Who is it? Oh, no. Eli Stowers.
Oh, yeah.
Vandy. Texas A&M, New Mexico State, then Vandy. No, he's from Denton, Texas. But his comparison is Mike Gesicki. So, we got, and then Sam Roush from Stanford. His comp is, his comp's Tucker Kraft. Damn. And I bring this up because my guy John's just really good at what he does. So, man, indeed, a very deep tight ends draft. All right, lastly, the NFL draft is a month from today. And Harrison Smith is returning, isn't he? I'm not asking you to make a declaration. I'm just saying we had that ballyhooed retirement ceremony. We had no 22, and that's fine. And then your guy, Derwin James, taps out of the flag football game in L.A. Well, Hitman's out. I'll play. Running around looking good, super cool like the Hitman, but it's so quiet. And you know better than anybody, when it's quiet like this, the wheels are grinding most loudly. And I just, my gut feeling is he plays again.
That wouldn't shock me at all because.
So in other words, and you don't want to.
No, I don't know, but like he sort of talked about it. Mm-hmm. Like he and I were talking about it after the game in the locker room post game, and he very much because either I brought it up or he brought up the Eric Kendricks situation where he didn't get picked up for half the season, and then the 49ers needed a guy and they bring him in, and so like I think that he's not, the way I interpreted that was he's not ready for a full retirement. I need to have a press conference. I'm ending my career right now.
Yeah.
I think he is looking at it as like, let my mind and my body heal. I'm going to leave the doors open. If the Vikings are in a situation or a team, I'm going to put the Vikings, obviously like 99% the team that he just wants to come back for. Mm-hmm. If we're in a playoff run in week 8 and we have a guy that goes down or we need a little leadership for this playoff push, then, he absolutely is going to leave the door open. And I do think that that's most likely what's going to happen.
And he has earned guidelines where others follow rules. And here's what I mean is you don't have to come to organized team activities if you don't want. No. But we do have to have the covenant catch up, just check up just to make sure that, the workouts are going okay. Not that you're not doing them, but that it's working okay for full throttle. So you're going to go from this and, maybe mini camp, and then chill, fireworks in Edina with Nacho Leber. And then when you come back, your body's got to be good, man. So there would be covenant catch-ups, but my man's earned guidelines. If you don't want to be at organized team activities, but you want to play, that's fine.
So we don't know the schedule until what, May? I think it's going to come out a week or two after the draft.
Mm-hmm.
If that bye week is week 7, 8, prime situation to give him a little ring and be like, hey man, bye week's coming up. How's your body feeling? Let's bring you in, do a little physical. He comes in, has a full bye week to basically be at the facility and get all of his workouts in and make sure that what he's been doing in the off season and what he's been doing during the season to stay in shape checks out to what they want. Mm-hmm. They don't want to run into a Frank Ragnow situation where he wants to go in and take over that center spot and then realize he's got a grade 2 hamstring tear or whatever because he's out there training, trying to get ready. So, I think if we have a late bye week, perfect opportunity to bring him back.
And at that point in October or November, when they need him and they want him and he wants to play, then it's going to be like, Briz, remember when you squeezed me back here? Yeah, I'll play. $10 million. I always love that. What's your cap? 13? I'll take 10.
Yeah.
I am so happy to see you again. I'm glad your spring break went well, and we'll watch you on TV today, Channel 5 at 3 to 4:30. All right.
Thank you, man. Good to see you.
Twin Cities Live and Ben Leber. It's 10:45. We're back after this.
What up, 9 to noon? Welcome back. It's News to Nord, and News to Nord's always brought to you by The Casino. Not a casino. The Casino. at Canterbury Park. Poker, blackjack, and table games, feeling the felt all year round. Live racing in the spring, cool musical events. The best place to start, frankly, simply enough, is go to CanterburyPark.com. Now, before we we look at what's forward, let's go backwards in time just a moment and listen to a fun finish at Target Center last evening.
Bones against Jay Shante. Shot clock down to 8. Off the TJ screen. Now Randall with it. 5 to shoot. Julius on a run. Shoves off. Frees himself. 14-footer's good. Timberwolves take the lead 110 to 108. A 15-0 Minnesota run. Unbelievable.
Alan Horton on the call. By the way, a little side note, Alan Horton has eclipsed 1,500 games as Timberwolves Vox.
Well done.
It's got to be 19, nearly 20 seasons now for Alan.
Yes, sir.
Calling the... So congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Wolves. And we talked about it a bit in the open, PA, but it was the run by the Rockets to force OT. It was the run to start OT by the Rockets that put the Wolves in a spot where you threw this stat out. The teams 10 or more in terms of being at a deficit in overtime, teams down by 10 or more, were 0-180, I think is how you framed it up in the open. They're now 1-180, PA, because that 15-0 run found them 110-108. Kevin Durant gets fouled by Julius, has the chance to shoot 2 free throws. Team had been perfect from the stripe all night. Suddenly, KD misses the first one, tries to force miss the second one, and the rest is history. Wolves find that W. They've won 4 of their last 5. So we dig that, specifically in those games, lacking or not having Anthony Edwards. Sounds like he is nearing a return, but last night, whether it was Jaden McDaniels getting crampy, we have Rudy fouling out, we got Nas being asked to leave the game. All those things, no Ayo Dosunmu last night. All those potential roadblocks and hurdles, the Wolves found their way to a victory. They're now 5th and creating a nice little gap between the Wolves in the 5th spot. And I believe now nearly 5 games behind them would sit the Suns in 7th. So staying out of the play-in, if that was the operation with just about 10 or so games to go, the Wolves are very close to solidifying and accomplishing that.
You're a half behind Denver for home ice in the first round and just 2 games behind the Lakers. So for the third spot, nobody's catching San Antonio or OKC. San Antonio might/probably will catch Oklahoma City for the top seed in the Western Conference. That's how hot that squad is. When Anthony Edwards returns, my A topic of what I've seen in the last 5 games is continuing to get Jaden McDaniels his shots.
Yeah.
And continuing to keep him engaged and part of the offense, not because we're like patting somebody on the head saying, that's a good Jaden McDaniels. Thank you very much for your service. No, because he's good. Because his offensive skills are good. And he's not going to get the 1 or probably 2 defensive matchup from the adversary. He'll get something less, and he'll beat it, and maybe he'll draw attention, and then he can kick, and then other people score. So might start this Saturday. I think it's a 4:30 game at Target Center against the Pistons.
The March Madness continues, PA, as the Sweet 16 continues this evening. You're going to get now, first weekend has typically been the most enjoyable from the standpoint if you're looking at Cinderellas, you're looking at potential massive upsets.
Yep.
This weekend kind of digs in where the juggernauts and the matchups become as much the story as anything. I mean, Iowa, Nebraska is going to be sweet. Arkansas and Arizona, Illinois and Houston this evening. So you have 4 really cool games. Purdue is, as I mentioned, lifting off against Texas at 6.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. But in the vein of national tournaments, how about the trip to the Frozen Four, the hunt for the Frozen Four? As today you got 4 games in the mix: Michigan State and UConn. That's going to be 12:30. Then you have Dartmouth and Wisconsin. Let's go Dartmouth. Beat the Scotties. Number 2 ranked North Dakota and Merrimack in the evening set. Another one at 4 o'clock today as well. Providence and Quinnipiac, which we now know, I believe Quinnipiac are the Bobcats. So the tournament underway. It stinks that our favorite team is not in the mix, but of course, state of the fan as it is, whether it's North Dakota, let's go crazy up in Grand Forks, UMD, Bulldogs are in it. They play tomorrow evening against Penn State. And a fun, Fancato. Let's do it, Fancato. The Mavs are up against Western Michigan tomorrow afternoon as well. So some fun games to watch. How closely are you going to dig into? Now we got our coach in maroon and gold. They get to chill, and sadly our spectators to this whole thing. But digging into the national tournament.
Well, I do believe Brett Larson will be in studio 9 to noon next week. At least that's what it seems to be leading to, and that would be funky fresh if that were the case. Secondly, I've said this before, just for whatever the reason, I don't watch a lot of college basketball during the regular season, but I watch more during the NCAA tournament than I watch in like 3 regular seasons year after year after year. I love the NCAA basketball tournament. There are so many things that are revealing to me because I've just never seen or heard of a lot of these players. If there is a better player in the NCAA tournament than Arkansas's freshman Darius Acuff Jr., I got to see it. He's unbelievably good. He's such a phenomenal basketball player. And I think he could elevate Calipari's team to a victory in the Elite Eight. Fred Hoiberg joined 9 to noon earlier this week off the dramatic victory they had against Vanderbilt, and that thing was just all about a spine tingler. Well, I'm pulling for Fred. I've known his family for nearly a quarter century. Fred's salt of the earth. I want him to win it all, and I didn't pick him to win it all. And if Michigan happens to beat Duke in the NCAA tournament, I might be scooping metaphorical chips.
Let's go.
But I would prefer Fred Hoiberg and these Huskers, who are favored over Iowa. They split with them this year. One of the games was like 55-50, and I think tonight's going to be of the underwhelming variety. But, I'm thinking happiness for people I know. That'd be Hoiberg and Sam and his twin brother and Jackson and Carol, his wife. That'd be sweet. But it also means Freddie come on 9 to noon Monday or Tuesday to talk about being in the Final Four. Then maybe
a personal and professional angle to this.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's. Yes, it obliterates a segment, no doubt about it. But a lot of Cornhusker fans all over the country. A lot of people morph their way to people like Fred Hoiberg because he's antithetical to a lot of people and how they execute their toil in the world of sports. So it's phenomenal. I love the NCAA tournament. Frozen Four, they let Sandlin in. That's all I'm going to say. They let Sandlin in.
Big mistake.
Sandlin in, I think, with 10 or 12 losses. Okay, they let him in. DU had the audacity to lose 10 or 11 this year. They don't care about the regular season. They care about the NCAA tournament and the Frozen Four.
Yeah.
So DU and they let Sandlin in.
Yeah.
That's where I'm casting my gaze.
Yeah, there's going to be some people watching Duluth and the Bulldogs handle business. Shouldn't have let them in. Chip Churn a chance for Sandlin. And you're right, Denver. Everyone forgets they have a program until they're hoisting the national trophy. It's crazy. Last thing for you.
Yeah.
It's baseball season, PA. 2:05 p.m. Minnesota Twins in Baltimore. Joe Ryan on the mound versus Trevor Rogers. The 2026 campaign is about to be underway. And all I have for you at this particular moment is I love the new manager, and I'm rooting for Derek Shelton.
Likewise.
So best of luck to the Minnesota Twins, as there's 162 of these things. The first one happens today.
Yeah.
And that's news to North.
And we had one last night. It was the Yankees and the Gigantes. So it's all underway.
It's all underway. It's all happening.
That marathon that is Major League Baseball. JoJo goes for us today against Trevor Rogers. Royce Lewis is batting 8th. And to talk about that and more around the corner, we believe Lavelli Neal III, columnist for the Star Tribune, will be joining us. Then former Twins general manager Thad Levine. He's on the 9 to noon show about 30 minutes from now. Back after this.